Well, hello, everyone. So I was very much motivated to make this video due to some recent events in my life. So this morning I slept in because I haven't been sleeping thoroughly. Like, I mean, consistently, that's a better word. I haven't been sleeping consistently. So I'll wake up during the night because I've been having nightmares. And every Sunday is typically when I go meet my dad for breakfast. And so, of course, he called me. He's like, "Where are you?" I had slept in. And it was because I was compensating for the fact that I needed rest, right? So I told him how I had been having these nightmares all week. And he shared with me a story about how this weekend a 16-year-old girl decided to kill her father with her boyfriend, and they set him on fire. And, you know, that's so totally not a thing that a normal, healthy human being would do, right? Because he was concerned, and my father knows my background, obviously. He's very metaphysical himself, right? So when I was sharing that I was having these nightmares, you know, he was like, "Well, can you get into so-and-so," right? Like, because we have great resources for this stuff. And I said, "Yeah, I'm going to have to, unfortunately, like my toolbox is good. But then every once in a while, I got to go to a metaphysical practitioner who can really do work," right? Because I've been having these nightmares all week, and the theme is the same. It's really weird. So like this dark energy thinks that I don't see it, and it'll appear somewhere in my bedroom. This is in my sleep. It'll appear somewhere in my bedroom. And just as I'm like recognizing its form, it tries to morph into something else so that I won't be able to identify it. And it pretends it's not there. And this has happened so many times this week in my sleep, and it wakes me up out of my sleep, right? And then I have to do this, like, it's not a meditation specifically, but it's a thing that you can do to counter the energy so that way it doesn't have an effect on you. And ironically, like, again, like I said, it's a tool in my box, but they keep coming back. And the last time that I had such a significant dark dream, excuse me, was right before I was assaulted. So if you haven't heard the story, about 2 weeks before I was physically assaulted in real life, I had a dream that the devil came to me disguised as Lucifer, trying to trick me. And I was not impressed. I said, "I see who you are. I can see your horns. Like, I don't know who you're trying to fool." Well, this pissed off Lucifer, or the devil, right? So he physically attacked me in my dream, and I woke myself up trying to get the devil off me. And I just kind of remember thinking after that dream, like, why would I have that dream? That's really weird. And I concluded that it had to do with the fact that, like, obviously I can't be tricked on a psychological level anymore. And that if something's going to come after me, it's going to have to come after me physically. Well, then 2 weeks later, I was physically assaulted. The individual who assaulted me was someone I had known for 15 years, right? He had a break from reality. And when I went to his home that evening, I very specifically remember walking in the door and feeling like something wasn't right. And confusion had set in. And so I want you to keep that word in mind, because evil is synonymous with confusion. The other thing that evil is synonymous with, and it could be evil, it could be predatory, it could be anything that's trying to just take control of you. But the other word that it's synonymous with is destabilization, okay? And destabilization doesn't mean that you've gone crazy. Destabilization just means you don't feel right. You know, it's not so much confusion as much as it's this visceral sense of uncertainty. Like you feel it in your body. So when he snapped, I literally had the thought, like, does he have an altar that I'm just now meeting after 15 years? Or has something possessed him? I was able to catch a glimpse of his eyes. When I looked in his eyes, my question was answered. And yes, something had possessed him. There's a term called black eyes. And only people who have witnessed black eyes will use the expression black eyes, because it's not in reference to the color, it's in reference to the fact that it's more of a vibration we're talking about. And when you look at someone with black eyes, you recognize that the soul is absent in that moment. And I was like, great, well, now I really know what evil looks like, right? So I had had experiences prior to that metaphysically with evil. That was the first time in my life where I encountered it awake, present, in my physical reality. Like, there it is. And even my ghostwriter, because we were getting ready to write my book at that time, she said to me, like right after the assault, she goes, you must be a target. Like, you must be a target. Like, if the energy of the dark side had to come after you physically. And the reason I think that comment is so powerful is because I'd had the thought already. Like, wow, like something had to come after me physically in reality just to try to knock me off balance. And so I think it's really important that when we talk about what's happening in the world right now, it's not just physical. Like this jab, this virus, that's physical. That's like a mundane reality. But what it carries with it is metaphysical. And that's, in my opinion, where the bigger war lies. Because if these energies can attach to you, because you're confused, because you're in fear, because you're uncertain and you're not feeling stable, they will. And I have experience, like I'm talking with my hands a lot. When I learned theta healing, I was in college, and I remember the instructor basically saying that, like, when you open that portal to do this work, you don't just see like the fairies, right? You don't just see the good, you're gonna see evil. And I did. Like, when my channels opened up, when my chakras were that open, I did see evil. And that woke me up out of my sleep that night too. That weekend I was doing the seminar, and I saw evil, and it was awful. And the entire weekend, I could hear the whispers of these entities around me, literally preying on secrets, my worst fears. I'm like 22 at the time. And I like what my fears were at that time, I guarded them with my life. No one knew these things, but they did. And they used them to try to torment me psychologically. So, you know, it's on all levels, guys. What's happening right now is not just like, oh, there's a virus, go get a jab and you'll be fine. Absolutely not. We have levels and layers of destabilization happening in this world right now, causing confusion, causing uncertainty. And these dark forces are just preying on it. And yeah, like attracts like, but if you are a light worker, if you are of the light, you are a target. Because it's easy to manipulate those of the mundane. It's real easy to manipulate someone who's not awake and not of the light. The threat to them is the light, right? Like if we look at a vampire, right? Like Dracula, like nighttime, not a problem. It's when the sun comes up that there's an issue. It's not complicated. They don't like the light, and as long as the light is is prevailing, they lose. And so the spiritual aspect of this warfare is to target people psychologically and emotionally. And if they can wear you down and put you into a state of fear, they will absolutely do it. I am lucky in the sense that my experience has shown me what this looks like and how to see it for what it is. That doesn't mean that it makes it any better. I mean, you know, I'm working overtime to maintain grounding and balance lately. Ever since I got COVID, I just have not been the same. And layer by layer, it's been better. I cleared some stuff off of me. I had Kira work on my physiology, right? Like there's been things that have made it better. But these mother effers are working overtime. And I think it's important to recognize that, because if you're in a place where you're feeling really insecure, you might need to get more congruent with who you are and ask yourself, are these insecurities that are being repeated in my brain, are they even mine? Like, yeah, they might be your insecurities, but the repetition of them, does that part belong to you? You know, are you finding that you're feeling less secure, less stable, less grounded? Because they're going to use, the dark energy is real clever. It uses whatever vulnerability you've got. So like, that's going to be different for everyone. Whatever your fear is, and it might not have anything to do with COVID, it'll figure out what that fear is and it'll play on that. And it'll use that as a way to drag you down into this dark place so that it can basically control you. I mean, think about that 16-year-old girl. Why would a 16-year-old girl kill her father and set him on fire if she wasn't totally possessed? And if you think that possessions don't happen, like, well, get ready for 2022 and 2023 and 2024, because the veil is only going to get thinner, guys. And the divide's going to be that much clearer. And you get to decide which side you want to be on. The spiritual part of this war is so real. And it's more real, in my opinion, than even what's happening on the mundane level. Like the economy, COVID, all that stuff, that's just a distraction. They want your minds. They want your soul. It's like, I remember when the assault happened and there was all these people from the yoga community who were so mad at me for deciding that I needed to protect myself. And the ignorance of these individuals to assume that you could negotiate with evil was mind-blowing. It's like, no, if evil just has one goal, and that's destruction. That's it. You don't negotiate with it. You try, it'll take you down. And when we are vulnerable, when we are feeling insecure, when we are feeling confused, these are the moments they creep in. And so my point with this video even isn't so much a point as much as it's an opportunity. I would like to open the discussion for people who might be feeling uncomfortable in their own reality or their own skin lately, because these energies are real. I will probably be making a video on some of the tools I do have, the techniques that I do rely on. I did get something off of me this week. I felt the shift literally, like within hours. I was like, okay, like I'm not having those aggressive thoughts anymore. I mean, it was insane. Like I just was having aggressive thoughts. Like I couldn't even stand in line for 2 minutes without just being mad. And I'm like, God, this is not me. So I knew something was there, you know, and whatever is filtering into my dreams at night, like, you know, it's interesting. I don't feel it, ironically, in my bedroom. It's just, it's weird. They're getting sneakier and sneakier and more clever as to how they try to get in. It's like, what, you can't hit me when I'm awake now, so you got to hit me when I'm asleep. Like, come on. And even then, it's like there's this thing called lucid dreaming where you're like aware that you're dreaming and you're you know, you're cognitive enough to like call the shots on the dream and what's happening in it. And that's what I feel like I'm doing. Like I feel like I'm going to battle in my dreams now. It's frustrating. But anyway, I just wanted to open up that door for people because you're not crazy if you're experiencing this stuff. And in fact, I think it's going to become, unfortunately, a little more normal. But this war it's not on your body as much as it's on your brain. It's on your mind. And that's going to be the most important thing to protect moving forward. And being able to gauge clarity on your space and what's not yours. Like understanding your energetic boundaries is going to be more and more important. So I'll be putting out that video probably in the next week on some techniques that you can do. There's a handful of them. I'll just give you some straight theta healing, like verbiage to go with and some stuff to do for yourself, and then some meditations to do. But don't, even if you're not religious, don't rule out prayer. Like don't. Like, you know, prayer is essentially talking to God or the infinite intelligence, whereas meditation is kind of listening and getting clear. So don't rule out prayer, even if you're not religious. And I know that a lot of people aren't going to want to hear this, but these energies love drugs. They love drugs. So, you know, that's also been kind of interesting to me. Like I got COVID after I was drinking, and, you know, it's an opportunity. It's a gateway for them, you know, when you're drinking, when you're smoking pot, when you're doing edibles, like, you know, when you're doing lines, I don't know what you expect. Like these forces, they like that stuff. So maybe not engage as much. I don't know. Anyway, I just wanted to share that. I think that the war is only going to get worse. It's only become more amplified. And, you know, these dark forces are going to figure out what your vulnerability is, and they're going to target you there. If that's physical for you, if that's in your mundane reality. The other thing I've been experiencing, just FYI, for the last month, I don't know how many times I have almost avoided, or I avoided almost a car accident. And that just is a constant thing. It's like, wow, something is really trying to get to me. So wake up a little bit and take inventory of your environment, take inventory of what's going on in your own head, and, you know, really start to take possession back of your energetic space. And if you need help with that, I can help with that. In fact, I think I'm going to be refreshing my own psychic abilities. I think it's time. I shut them down 20 years ago because, well, not 20 years ago, but I shut them down a long time ago because I was afraid of my own power. But I think it's time to wake up again and utilize that power. I think it's necessary. You know, at the time there was a lot of stuff I didn't want to see, but I think it's time and necessary that I start looking again at what's coming. So anyway, that's all for now, folks, and I will talk to you again.